This is Andrew Hall. You're listening to Dead Hand Radio. My guest today is podcaster, blogger, and avid collector of dystopian and post-apocalyptic books, Evan from the Wastes. Evan is also a veteran of the Cold War, and according to his bio on social media, he's a father, a husband, and an old soldier, a child of the 70s who grew up on a dairy farm. It doesn't get much more blue-collar than that. Evan's podcast, From the Wastes, includes interviews with writers, artists, and many other creative people, while the focus of his show is mainly on the dystopian and post-apocalyptic genre. He's recently started hosting a roundtable discussion called Trek Talk, which he inherited from another podcaster and friend of Dead Hand Radio, Phantom Dark Dave. Not only is Evan responsible for Dave and I getting to know each other, he's indirectly responsible for connecting me with a number of people in the post-apocalyptic community. I first became aware of Evan years ago through his blog From the Wastes. His blog posts, like his podcast, usually have a post-apocalyptic theme to them, which is something I've always had an interest in, and is what first drew me to his work. He also throws in the occasional Star Trek and Star Wars reference for variety. But the thing that really stands out about Evan is the amount of support and encouragement he pours into the post-apocalyptic, or PA, community on Twitter. And for that reason, this episode will focus on being supportive to others, finding value in relationships, and generally being a decent human being. Thanks for joining me, Evan, and welcome to Dead Hand Radio.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Appreciate you being here, man. So to start this out, I'd like to go over some early life experiences with you, kind of get into your origin story. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
All right. So you grew up on a dairy farm in Middle America, something I don't think a lot of people could claim that they did. That's kind of a unique experience.
Yeah.
But you were also a child of the 70s, which is the same time I grew up. But for you, what was that like?
Yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm in southwest Montana in the 70s and 80s. And we just, we had the typical farm, cows, chickens, hogs, goats, dogs, cats, all that stuff. And I ain't gonna lie, I pretty much hated it. Really didn't like it.
Okay.
And to this day, I always vowed that I would never have anything to do with livestock or animals ever again, and so far I have held true to that promise. So and I was an only child, and so I didn't have any siblings to help me out with chores and everything. And so I kind of tended to, I kind of perfected the art of entertaining myself. And I think, I don't remember how early it was that I discovered science fiction and all that, but Saturday morning cartoons and all that back in the 70s, you didn't think about it at the time, but now, I mean, it was like magic. I don't know if that's nostalgia.
Well, I seem to remember it the same way, man. It was
yeah. You just think, you're up at, and cartoons came on at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I remember being up. It was the only thing that I had to get up early to do chores every morning before I went to school and everything. But, that was a chore. Getting up at 5:30 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning on Saturday morning was like, I'm going to sit down with my box of, Cookie Crisp, lay on the carpet and watch, Thundar and Flash Gordon and all those cool cartoons.
Yeah, I used to watch all them same cartoons, man, in a different part of the country. Kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so farm life, I'm not that familiar with it. I grew up in a town called Vacaville, which means cow town. And it was a lot of farmland, but I was a city kid. I lived in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved back and forth between Vacaville and Sacramento growing up. So I wasn't really in involved in the farming or the agriculture industry that
Mhm.
supported the whole city.
Mhm.
But for you as a little guy, I mean, chores, everybody knows what chores are, but on a dairy farm, what kind of chores did you have to do?
Um, well, I was up at 5. I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and when I was, it probably started when I was about 8 or 9. My job would be to get up and go out and feed the cows, feed the calves, and basically feed everything.
Mm,
And mom and dad were actually milking the cows because we had what was called a surge line, and they were these big giant stainless steel tanks that you had a belt that wrapped around the top of the cow, and this tank hung off of that belt below the cow's belly, and then you had you had these four suckers
mhm.
that sucked onto the udders, and that's where the milk went into, and then you had to uh, physically take this tank off, take it into the milk parlor, pour it into the milk tank, and then put it on the next cow. And we had 3 of those going at a time. A lot of we had a small dairy. It was a Jersey dairy, and so we only generally milked about 40 to 50 head,
Mhm.
maybe 60. But yeah, my job when I was that young was feeding everything, and then during the winter I had to go out into the pasture because we'd lay straw down, and I'd have to take a wheelbarrow with me and pick up all the cow poop with a pitchfork, put it in the wheelbarrow, take it to the manure pile, and this was all before I went to school.
Mm.
So I'd have to do all that, get ready to go to school, come home, repeat. And then finally get into the house around 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I didn't do very well in school because I didn't do a lot of homework, and so yeah, that was basically kind of the routine of being a kid on a dairy farm in the 70s.
Interesting. Wow. Well, did you have time for sports or anything like that as you got older?
I hated sports,
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
stand it,
Okay.
and my parents would try to get me into everything. They send me to basketball camp. They the I was kind of I was kind of one of the bigger kids in school, and I don't remember what he taught, geography maybe. Anyway, he was one of the football coaches, and so I had to play football. They wanted me to wrestle. I hated all of it.
Mm.
I just my dad wasn't into sports. He wasn't into cars. None of that kind of typical, you know, sports and cars and all that kind of stuff. But I was into working on a dairy farm
Mm.
and hiking. My dad, he'd take me up into the mountains to hike a lot, and that was pretty much it.
So there must have been a place that you had that was your place to go. Did you like many kids have a place that they go to play and hide and just have their alone time? Did you have anything like that?
Yeah, when on the farm, it was the haystacks,
Hmm,
and I would get bales of hay and like make little hay forts,
cool.
and that's kind of where I would, we had 20 acres, and our homestead was just smack dab in the middle of the 20 acres. Um, and at any one time, we probably had 4 or 5 big giant haystacks around, and so that was a good place where I could hide. I remember hiding up in the rafters of the milk barn, um, as well.
Hmm.
Usually, it was try to get out of doing chores.
Yeah.
But
I,
when I got a little bit older, I remember we got a four-wheeler. Well, my dad got a four-wheeler to help with feeding the animals and stuff, and I would end up jumping on that four-wheeler like after school on a Friday. And the valley that I grew up in was very narrow, and so on the west side of the valley you had the big high craggy peaks, and then on the east side of the valley you had kind of the older kind of rolling hills that were
mm,
kind of more sagebrush. and I'd jump on that four-wheeler and I'd hit the hills and I'd stay there until Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
When I'd come back home, and that was all I was doing, that like junior high, high school. That's where I'd spend my weekends.
That's cool.
When I wasn't at the video arcade,
Oh, video arcades. Yeah. Back then, you don't have those now.
No.
Actually, I have seen a couple of video arcades that are connected to movie theaters.
Right. Ours has one.
Okay.
But there's like 4 games.
Yeah. There's not a lot of games in there.
No.
And they're video games. It's not like Space Invaders or Pac-Man or something like that.
No.
It's like something you could play on your computer.
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's different.
Yeah.
But did you have, Dead Hand Radio is a show that focuses on Cold War, and because you're a child of the Cold War, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, to talk about your experiences and your exposure to the Cold War. Did you have any experiences or exposure as a kid to what the Cold War was?
Probably my biggest memory of it was wouldn't be until like junior high when The Day After came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember that was all we talked about.
Yeah.
And I remember there was some television show or a movie on TV where like the Russians were invading through Alaska, and there was some kind of outpost thing or oil refinery thing up in Alaska. And so we used to play, during the wintertime, and it was during the wintertime. And so we used to play that, and, you're, fighting the commies. And,
yeah.
But yeah, when I was younger like that, I just don't really recall knowing much about the Cold War. Not until, I started getting to 12, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you were relatively sheltered. Maybe I was more curious because I would seek that stuff out. I remember my first experience of learning what the Russians were and how scary they were was this Time magazine cover of a tanker sitting on top of a Russian tank. And that dude just looked so scary to me, man. And it said something about the Soviet tank armada. They just had so many tanks.
Right.
And I remember seeing that image. It's seared into my brain. And that was like my first experience with what the Cold War is. I didn't know it was called the Cold War. I just knew that the Russians were scary and they wanted to kill us. And the only way that we kept them from killing us was to make sure we were stronger and had the ability to kill them first if it came to it.
Right. How old were you, do you think, when
I was like 7 years old, 8 years old, maybe 9.
Oh, wow.
Real young. And then after that was, I started like paying attention. We did some duck and cover drills in school when I was younger, but who knows what that is when you're 7, 8 years old.
Right.
You don't really know what that is.
No.
But not until I saw that cover of that magazine. So let's see. Okay, so getting back on to the topic that you're interested in, post-apocalyptic fiction and dystopian fiction. How did you first discover that?
I remember, and I don't remember how old I was. I was young, but it was like, I want to say 5, 6, 7, something like that. And I remember seeing this old black and white movie on TV, and it wouldn't be for a little while till I realized that it was that it was Things to Come, H.G. Wells' Things to Come, which is a really super good post-apocalypse movie. And so that's kind of my earliest memory of anything post-apocalypse. But the biggest memory I have of post-apocalypse was I was probably when did The Road Warrior come out? Was it 1980 or yeah, it was
Yeah,
1980,
80.
wasn't it?
Hmm.
Um, being on a farm, I was in 4-H, and so during the county fair, I was showing my cow, and I was showing chickens and a hog, and we would bring the animals in the horse trailer, and then I would live at the fair for the whole week.
Mm.
And uh, I remember, yeah, when I was 10 years old, one of the businesses that had the booth in the commercial building was the local uh, video store, and that's right when video stores kind of really started. That's my first memory of videos, of VHS tapes and all that. And he had the Road Warrior just like on a constant loop
Hmm.
playing. I swear to God, I didn't ride a single ride. I didn't do any when I wasn't showing an animal. I was at that booth watching the Road Warrior over and over and over again for a solid week.
Wow.
And I even had, I remember in the newspaper, how they used to have the section of all the movies that was playing.
Hmm.
And they would have the little black and white kind of movie posters. I remember I cut out the movie poster thing for the Road Warrior, and I had it pinned to my wall. But yeah, that's my first real, I guess, I don't know, important or main memory of something that was post-apocalyptic, and then that it just went from there.
So how old were you at that time?
I would have been 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would have been 10 years old.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my first. Oh no, Planet of the Apes was my first exposure to post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
But that's because I used to stay up late on Fridays and Saturdays. They used to have a show called Creature Features.
Oh, cool.
And they would show all kinds of cool movies, Dracula and things like that. But
nice.
the Planet of the Apes came on reruns, and I was like just blown away by how things. I mean, first of all, the greatest reveal in movie history, in my opinion, was at the end of that movie when.
Oh yeah. You blew it up.
Yeah.
You bastards.
Yeah. That was so profound. And then the second movie, they showed a lot more of the apocalyptic world,
right?
The post-apocalyptic world, and I was hooked after that. So,
you know what? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was 9 years old,
mm-hmm.
and for Christmas, I had gotten this book. It was kind of like a large magazine, but it was real thick. Just I don't know what they call them, like a trade paperback type of thing. And it was called Sci-Fi Now. And it was just about all of the science fiction movies and TV shows from, kind of basically just the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a lot of pictures of it. And I remember there were pictures, I still have it actually, but there were pictures of, like Planet of the Apes, Things to Come. But it had like a whole section on the bed sitting room. Just a lot of pictures of post-apocalypse stuff. And I remember that just being I didn't really understand because there's a lot of writing in it. There's a lot of text. I didn't care about that when I was 9 years old. I was just looking at the pictures, and it had a lot of Star Wars in it, and 2001: A Space Odyssey, and all that. But I remember I think it had a whole section on PA stuff, and so that kind of I think sparked my fascination as well.
Yeah. So you were into sci-fi early on.
Yeah. Yep.
I was more into like fantasy stuff. The Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts movies were.
Yep.
That's what I lived for, right there as a little dude. But as I got a little bit older and started to, once Star Wars came around, dude, it was over. Star Wars was my probably introduction to science fiction. And after that, it was nothing but science fiction after that. Would you say that the movie did it for you, or was there a person, or was it just that event that directly contributed to your interest in that?
Just the event.
Okay.
I didn't, my parents weren't into science fiction whatsoever. I didn't have, you had friends in school that I still remember getting into an argument. We had just, Star Wars had just come out. And I remember being on the bus and getting into an argument with one of the kids on the bus. His name was Ron. And he insisted that the stormtroopers were robots. And I was like, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're men. They're just men in suits. They're not robots. So but it didn't really have anything to do with anything, I guess. But
it's a good story, though. So continue.
There wasn't anybody that kind of introduced me to science fiction. I guess, thank God for my mom that sent me to the theater to see Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there wasn't anybody really, and certainly I didn't have any friends that were interested in PA fiction.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your dystopian post-apocalyptic fascination?
Because I've had people ask me, why are you so fascinated with this whole end of the world thing? And, it's so negative, and what's the deal with that? And, when I try to think of why the whole kind of lone wanderer or, last man on earth thing appealed to me, I think it has something to do with being an only child, maybe. I was really introverted. I mean, horribly. This whole thing that's going on now is like, this is my time. It's like finally people will just leave me alone and stay away from me. This is heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And but I never had a problem entertaining myself, and my parents, bless their hearts, they just tried to get me to socialize by putting me into plays and Missoula Children's Theater and sports and all this stuff, and I hated it so much, and I was so much more comfortable just putzing around in the mountains by myself and just exploring. And I guess maybe when I started reading and watching things that had kind of this lone survivor and this radiation blasted wasteland, it just kind of I guess I could associate with that and think that could totally be me. That would totally be me.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
That's pretty good, man. That's kind of, I didn't realize that I felt that way too, but that's exactly why I'm drawn to the post-apocalyptic fiction as well. But jumping forward a little bit, you obviously made it through your childhood. You grew up and graduated high school, went into the military at some point. Was it right after high school?
It was actually during high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I enlisted into the National Guard between my junior and senior year of high school, and so I did basic between during that summer between junior and senior year, and then went to AIT after I graduated. So.
Cool. So, and I read or I heard something that you went into language school to learn Russian.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I guess real quick. So I joined the National Guard when I was in high school and graduated high school and went to college for a year and did horribly. I was so sheltered during my, growing up. I didn't have a girlfriend. I never went to a party. I never sipped a beer. Nothing. And then I went to college and holy crap. And just did horribly. Oh, I did so bad. I was on, what do they call it? Yeah, it was so bad. And anyway, my roommate, he wasn't doing too hot either, and so he decided he was going to join the Coast Guard. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go to the recruiters with him, because all the recruiters for all the different branches were in the same building, and I'm going to talk to the Army recruiter, and if I went active duty, what could I get? Because I was a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. I was a grunt. So went to the recruiter, and he said, what about military intelligence? I went, oh, okay. And so I was going to go in as an analyst in the MI. And so went to the MEP station and went through a bunch of testing, and I had to take this language test. I think it's called the D Lab. And apparently I scored so high on it. Well, I took the test, and I'm sitting out there, and the recruiter comes up. He goes, how would you like to be an interrogator? I was like, let's do it right now. I'm in. Interrogator? Oh, hell yeah. And but apparently I did so well on the D Lab that it was interrogator / linguist, and so I was going to have to be sent off to language school. And so I told my parents, well, I'm going to go active duty. What? How come you're not going to finish college? I just, this is what I want to do. And to this day, my mom, bless her heart, she's not with us anymore. I never got a chance to tell her the truth. And I certainly am not going to ever tell my dad the truth. But I got shipped off to DLI in Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. And but my orders didn't say like which school, which language or anything, like which language, because they have all the languages there. And it didn't say exactly where I was going. And so they just dropped me off at the Fox Troop, Fox Company. In the cavalry, it's troops. But and I went to the first sergeant. He said, he looked at my papers and he said, oh, what language do you want? And I was like, oh, Russian. I want to learn Russian. This was 1980, at the end of 88, maybe early 89. I think it was early 89. And so we're kind of at the height of the, I don't know if that was the height of the Cold War, but so yeah, like an idiot, I said Russian, and not kind of realizing that I like totally failed Spanish in high school. Couldn't even pass Spanish. All right, so I'm gonna go to Russian. So I got stationed. I went to the Charlie Company, Sovbusters, and I remember our PT shirts had it was kind of play on Ghostbusters. It had the ghost, but he was wearing one of those oh shoot, I can't remember the Russian hats. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, and it said, Sovbusters. And so it was an 11-month course, and it was like this experimental turbo accelerated course. And I remember our classes we only had like 10 students in each class. And, the guy sitting next to me, like graduated from Harvard. And the other guy sitting next to me was like from Yale. And I was so out of my element. I was a dumbass dairy kid from Montana that failed Spanish and was failing college. And now here I am at this language school, learning Russian, where we're learning like 200 vocab words a day, having a test on them the next day, and then learning grammar, and then having a test on that, and then learning another 200 words. I mean, it was just so beyond my abilities. It was insane. I might as well have been studying Euclidean geometry or something. I mean, it was just, yeah, I made it 8 months. Then I rocked out.
How long was the school for?
The school was 11 months.
Oh, So you only
Yeah,
had 3 months to go.
but I was doing so bad, and I
Oh,
was
okay.
tutoring, every day after class, and we weren't allowed to speak English, and our instructors were they were Russians,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't allowed to speak English in class, and plus I was still kind of in that dumbass college kid mode,
Hmm.
and I was considered prior service because I'd been in the Guard 2 years before I went active duty. So I got my own room, and I was just too busy farting around and having fun. It was college, but you wore camo,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, that was. So anyway, after I rocked out, they said, well, you have the choice of infantry, heavy wheel mechanic, or you can go back to your old MOS. I was like, I don't want to go through another AIT. So I went back to my old MOS of Cav Scout, and they immediately shipped me off to Germany.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. So did you enjoy being in the military? Did you stay long?
at the time, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I would have stayed in now because all my friends are retired.
Mm-hmm.
They all got like their E8s, first sergeants and stuff like that. And yeah, they're all retired and getting a pension and all that. And no, I only stayed in. I got out in '93.
Okay.
Yeah, I stayed in Germany for a while, and then I got shipped to Fort Carson, Colorado, and then I ETS'd from there. So,
Any memorable moments that you had while you were in there?
a million of them. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
that really stands out.
Probably the one thing I always think of is when I got issued live ammo during Desert Storm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was a driver and of an M577 command post carrier, and uh, I remember I remember they issued me live ammo. Here it is. I was just like, and that was my oh shit moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, here we go. It's on now. And so yeah, but oh yeah, there's all the stuff I remember now are just like stupid funny stories of stupid things that happened to me. I don't remember until I really start thinking about it. I don't I just kind of remember the good stuff.
That's
you
I'm sure you made some pretty good friends. Do you still have friends that you keep in contact with?
I do. And well, because when you leave a unit, it's like, oh, here's my address. Okay, here's my address. And yeah, we gotta stay in touch and all this. And then you don't.
Yeah.
And so I got out in '93, and it wouldn't be until like 2008. I remember my wife said, I came home one day from work and she goes, some guy named Fidget called. I'm like, Fidget? I don't know anybody named Fidget. And then I thought, Fidget? And he was one of the guys I was stationed with in Germany. And this guy had gotten about 10 of us. He got in touch with about 10 of us and got us all back together on Facebook. And so that was cool, and we got back in touch and we talked about what was going on. And, we still keep in touch a little bit, but yeah, it wouldn't be until that many years later that I would ever get back in touch with anybody that I was stationed with.
Do you think it was your exposure to that conflict that that helped you make the decision to get out?
I don't think so. No, I thought I was going to do my time, get out, and go back to college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think anything was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, something did happen. And I mean, I ain't going to lie, I was terrified. And I think anybody who says they're not terrified is a liar. But
or crazy.
Yeah, you just kind of go on autopilot and do what you're doing, and they certainly keep you busy. So, but yeah, I don't remember thinking, oh my God, I don't want to do this again. I do remember thinking when I got back from Desert Storm that everything that would ever happen in my life would be duck soup, that nothing would ever be, as bad as over there. And I don't think anything really has. To be honest with you, maybe something here and there, but
Yeah.
um
Well, yeah, okay. So did you get married while you were in the military or after?
no, it was long
Oh,
after. Yeah,
okay.
I got out in 93. I didn't get married until 2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, while you were in the military, did you anything that you did or experienced while you were in the military prepare you for family life?
Not that I can think of. No. I was never going to get married. I was never going to have a family. I was going to be that lone wanderer dude for the rest of my life, so I can't really think of. I always felt so bad for the guys that were married. And I don't know how those military families do it. When they got to go off, moving all the time, and yeah, most of it's paid for, but when your husband or wife has to go off, and I remember calling my mom and saying, because of OPSEC, I'm going to be gone for a while. I can't tell you where, and I can't tell you how long. I couldn't imagine having to call my wife and telling that to her. That would just, I couldn't do it.
Or
I don't think I could do it.
being away for 6 months and coming back and your kids look different than when you left them.
Right. Or even a year or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
These guys, I don't know how long the tours they're serving now, but I think they're serving a year or two. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. So you didn't really think about family life much until you met your wife?
Yeah. Yeah. I was adamantly opposed to it. And
What changed your mind?
I just fell in love
Awesome.
hard. Yeah. She's really into books. And she has a master's in library science, and she was working in a bookstore, and that's how we met. And we exchanged emails, and her email had Sailot Bear in it. And I was like, you're shitting me. I have never met anybody who knew what a Sailot Bear was. I don't know. Do you know what a Sailot Bear is? They are, Spock had a pet Sailot Bear.
Okay.
Growing up, and it's a Star Trek thing. They're like a dog, basically, on Vulcan. And so that I thought, okay, here we go. That's yep. And I was reading the Silmarillion. What was she reading? I think she was reading the Dark Elf series, R.A. Salvatore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't read a lot of. The only fantasy I really read is J.R. Tolkien, and but she was really big into all that R.A. Salvatore stuff. Drizzt Do'Urden.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but
does anybody know?
I know. I'm still waiting for a movie of that to come out.
I was hooked on that when I was a kid. I used to.
Really?
Yeah, I read a bunch of those books.
Oh wow, yeah. And so I just started. I mean, that's all I read for like 2 years.
That's great, man. So then,
yeah,
you decided to change your paradigm basically, and start a family.
Yeah. If I want to keep her, I got to marry her.
No more lone wolf.
No, I was still against kids. I didn't want kids just because I was scared. I was really scared. I'm going to be a terrible dad. I can't do this. And she wanted kids real bad. And so we decided to have children, and best thing that ever happened to me.
Cool.
They're the coolest little guys, man.
Yeah. there. So yeah, you were a little bit older. Were you in your 30s when?
We were both 36.
Okay.
There's only 3 months apart.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's 3 months older than I am. So, yeah.
So now you're a family man. You have a day job, and you still have that draw to the post-apocalyptic and dystopian
Oh yeah.
fiction.
Well, and I have the big thing, the big draw to post-apocalypse for me, even more so than the whole lone wanderer thing, is uh, it's just one word: hope. And I firmly believe that hope is the only emotion that's stronger than fear. You can be scared to death of whatever's happening, right now. You can be scared to death, but there's a little piece of your brain somewhere in there that hopes that you're going to get out of it, that it's going to get better. There is hope in there somewhere, and I really strongly believe that hope is is stronger than the fear.
That is such an awesome thing to hear you say, dude, because I don't want to be a downer, man, but the people, even the people in the concentration camps in World War II had hope, and that's the only reason they survived.
Sure.
They knew that their next breath could be their last every minute of the day.
Yep.
And they still had hope to be able to get through that experience. And a lot of them did. Many of them didn't, unfortunately. But those that did, the only way they made it was because they had hope. And for you to come out and say that, man, that's pretty insightful and pretty deep.
Well, just what keeps that lone wanderer putting one foot in front of the other? He's walking across this blasted wasteland, and there's a rise in front of him, and he is hoping that there is something over that rise that's better, that he is hoping that at some point he is going to find something better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why he or she keeps trudging along, and that's why we keep trudging along, hoping that there's something better.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That brings me right into what started From the Wastes. How'd you get started with that, and how'd you come up with that name, first of all?
I'm not really. I just, when I started, I was so against social media when it started hitting. Like, that's stupid. I'm not going to get on the computer and get on social media and Twitter and the Facebook and MySpace or whatever and all that. And but I was extensively involved with a number of forums, and one forum in particular, we decided that in case the board went down or something like that, we should all create these Twitter accounts so that we could just keep stay in contact and kind of use it as a secondary thing. And so we did that, and the board ended up going down, going south. And I think that's like 2013. And so I went ahead and got on Twitter. We never used it for anything, but I got on there, and I thought, what is this? I had no idea what it is. I don't know how to use it. And so I started thinking, what do I want to use this for? What do I want to do? Okay. The whole point is to kind of connect with people. Okay. And I thought, the interest, you want to connect with people with like interests. And so I like to read, I like to watch movies and TV shows, and specifically, PA and dystopian stuff and science fiction. And so that's what I want to do. I want to, start connecting with people that are into that stuff. And then I started thinking, well, if I start browsing around the internet and, finding books and writers and movies and filmmakers and all this kind of stuff, I could I could find them and then just kind of share them, share what, find stuff that I like and share it. And, but as far as specifically From the Wastes, I guess I just I'm kind of exploring and finding these things from the wasteland. I'm exploring the wasteland, and this is what I have found from the wasteland. And I think I just thought From the Wastes. Oh, that sounds kind of cool. And so then there it was.
Sounds very cool.
I have another Twitter account. I ended up kind of creating this last librarian persona, where especially when it started really getting into the books, because I love to read so much. And so I kind of started thinking about this, what if I'm the last librarian?
Mm-hmm.
What if I have this underground bunker complex that houses the last vestiges of the written word, and wanderers and outlanders can come in and check these books out, and
That's a cool thought too,
yeah,
right there, man.
and so they kind of tie into each other. I sometimes I'll go back to that account and mess around with it for a little while, but they're really the same.
Yeah.
It's just that one's kind of more specifically book driven than From the Waste, which is kind of more books, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. So
it's cool. Yeah, I see you posting on both accounts sometimes. I don't even care, man. I know it's you. So,
yeah, everybody knows it's me.
I just I actually have a couple of accounts too, and I post. Sometimes I forget which account I'm on, and I'll be posting.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And then I have my Wasteland Man account,
for your gaming,
which that's just specifically for my gaming account, and which is pretty much just strictly Fallout 76.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you were pretty heavy into that when it first came out. Are you still playing that?
Oh yeah. Yep. When we get done with this, it's upstairs, and because my wife plays as well, she's got her own machine and everything in the bedroom, and we wander the wasteland as husband and wife.
That's cool.
And team up and do our thing.
Kind of an alternate reality experience, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird playing a video game with your wife, because you end up learning more about your spouse playing a video game with them than you would kind of doing anything else. You just, things they do, and the chatter that goes on between you, and how, I mean, it's so funny. She, in real life, she's kind of like me. She's certainly more extroverted than I am, but she doesn't like confrontation, like, whatsoever. Not at all. But when we're playing, I mean, she's the first one in, just blasting away and killing stuff. And yeah, she's a very aggressive player. It's funny. It's funny.
That's cool. So what are your plans for From the Wastes? I know it's a blog, it's a podcast. It's a super fascinating podcast to me because of some of the guests that you bring on there and interview. You also do talks, like a little roundtable talk about Star Trek, and you do. I think you do occasionally do movie reviews, right? You and your wife do movie reviews.
Just when we talked about the Star Wars movies when they came out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is she a Star Trek or Star Wars person, or is she a Star Trek and Star Wars person?
She does like Star Trek. She's not real big into the original series, but she really liked Next Generation and Enterprise. We haven't seen any of the new Star Trek stuff, Discovery or Picard. I think she's more Star Wars than she is Star Trek. That's cool. As am I.
That's cool.
I love them both, but I tend to watch more as far as Star Trek is concerned, I'm a big fan of the original series.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Next Gen, Voyager. Um, but yeah, we're both more. She was really into Doctor Who. Loved, especially Capaldi. She's a Capaldi Whovian.
So if you had to pick, if they were, say Disney owned Star Trek and Star Wars, and they were going to cancel one of them, and you could never watch, one of them again, which one would you prefer to have, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, why are you doing this to me? I don't. You know how much of a point I make of like either or best of. Oh, which one? Yeah. I'm probably going to go with Star Wars. I really dig the science fantasy of Star Wars. I'm one of those people that think, Star Wars is science fantasy and Star Trek is science fiction. But yeah, I guess if I had to pick, I would, of course, I'd turn it into a Kobayashi Maru, and I'd find some way to make Disney not cancel.
You'll go
one
buy
of them.
Disney and tell them to turn it back
Right.
on, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'd go full Kirk on them.
So yeah, you said you're an avid reader, and I think you probably read more books than anybody I know. Did you keep count?
The only way I really keep count is I have a Goodreads account, and I kind of use that as my database of books I've read and books that I own. And so, but it certainly isn't a definitive number of the books I've read, because I just started using it, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I've tried to remember. I've tried to remember all the books I've read before and find them on there and add them to that list. Yeah. But, yeah, I love reading so much, and I really wish I had more time to read.
Wow.
But I just don't. And I own way more books. I'll be dead so quickly before I get a chance to read a third of the books that I have.
Nice.
I mean,
nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Hey, at least you know what you're doing for the next 50, 60 years if you live that long, right?
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite series or a favorite author or a favorite single book out of all of them?
My favorite single book is 1984, George Orwell. And it's the one book that I judge like all dystopian fiction on.
Cool. And
I still listen to the audiobook every year. I don't read it anymore, but I do listen to the audiobook version. My favorite author is Brian Aldiss. He's a British author, and I don't even know if he's still alive, to be honest with you, but his stuff is just whacked out. I mean, I really love his stuff. He's written a number of kind of PA dystopian stuff. Dune is another huge passion of mine. I remember I first started trying to read it when I was like in 6th grade. Didn't understand a word, and I made the decision that I was going to try to read it every year, after that, and it probably wasn't until high school that I really kind of started understanding it. But yeah, reading for me it's like my happy place. Like if I'm feeling down or depressed about something, I go grab a book. If I'm sad about something, I go grab a book. And yeah, anytime like I can't deal with something, I grab a book. And I can't do that with a TV show or a movie. I'll just sit there and just glaze. And it just doesn't work for me. But with a book, I get sucked into it and everything bad just goes away, and so it's like I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a drug, or it's like a medicine for me or something.
Cool. So if you could think about it, I'm guessing it would probably be a book, but it might be something different. One single item that you don't have, like the Holy Grail, what would that be to add to your collection? It doesn't have to be a book. It's just one item that you don't have. Would you?
Deckard's blaster from Blade Runner.
That's cool. I know somebody who has a replica of that.
Oh,
yeah, they are. It is cool, man.
Yeah, and I want a working replica. I want, and I've watched a few different YouTube videos, and I remember, who's the guy from that? There was a show, Mythbusters, who and what's his name? The red-haired guy. He's real big into building like crazy accurate prop versions of props from different movies, and he built Deckard's blaster one time.
Mm-hmm.
And because I remember the receiver on it was built from I can't remember, it was a bolt action rifle, and now I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a bolt action. I think it was a 30-06.
Yeah, anyway, and then everything was kind of built around that, and then it had a revolving cylinder and used blanks and all that sort of thing, and the bolt action was just kind of more for looks than anything, the receiver. But if I could have a working actual real version of that just shot like 38, 357, something like that.
That's a good one, man. So that's your Holy Grail, huh?
That is. That's cool. I've been obsessed with that handgun since I saw the movie.
Yeah.
My friend, a little side story, my best friend growing up, his dad ran the theater. He was a projectionist. It was just a one screen theater. And so my friend and I would get to see movies for free because we'd clean up after the crowd left.
Cool.
And I remember we snuck in to see Blade Runner, and my jaw was on the floor. Yeah. It was just the most perfect, awesome thing I'd ever seen in my life.
1984. You were still in high school at that time, right?
Yeah, I was a freshman.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was my last year of high school. And
you're an old man.
Yeah. I'm 50 plus.
I'll be 50 in May.
Congrats.
Oh,
half a century, man. Half a century.
I know. I just keep thinking I got more behind me than in front of me.
I don't think that's
true. But there's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope for cybernetics. And I swear to God, as soon as they can stick my brain in a robot body, I'm in line, man.
Or upload you to the internet.
Exactly.
Live in the virtual world. Yeah.
Yep. That'll work.
I'm down with that. I could go on living forever.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I just started running a couple days ago. I've been out walking. I go for a 5K walk every day just to, get my heart rate up and stuff. But I started running, and it felt pretty darn good, man.
I don't even remember what that's like. And it sucks. I used to be in such good shape.
Yeah.
And now I'm not.
Yeah, and it's hard, man. The longer you wait, the harder it is to do something about it.
Yeah.
Is there a location that you have ever made plans to visit and would like to visit sometime in the future?
The chances of me ever visiting this location are slim to none, but the one place I've been to a lot of places. I've kind of I don't want to sound like this pretentious snob. I've kind of been there and done that, but it was when I was in the military, so I got to travel a lot, But the one place I would really super like to go is the Mad Max Museum in Silverton, Australia.
Oh, I didn't know they had that. I didn't even know that existed. Wow.
Yeah, it was a guy from England, and he moved to Australia like in 2006 or 2007 or something like that. And and he wanted to kind of be where Mad Max was filmed, and he ended up creating this museum, and a lot of stuff was given to him, and then he went out to the places where it was filmed, and that's where he got a lot of the stuff in the museum.
Wow.
And it's a good sized museum, and I mean, it's just right out there in the red dirt. I mean, it looks like it's right where, well, it is, where some of that stuff was filmed.
That's cool.
But he's got the cars and parts and outfits, and I would love to go there.
Yeah, well, we have a few mutual friends from Australia. Do you know if any of them are near there and have ever gone to it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I should ask.
I've never even visited, or I'd never even heard of it. So the thought of visiting it, that would be a pretty cool place to visit.
Yeah. Not sure I'm wild about like a 14-hour plane ride.
Oof,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're there in Australia, you might as well just catch a boat over to Antarctica and check out that place, because what are the chances of going there ever, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. New Zealand would be a beautiful place to visit too, where they filmed all the Hobbit movies, all the Lord of the Rings movies. Yeah, that'd be
that would be super cool.
I don't know if they have anything like dedicated to the movies out there.
I don't know. I thought I remembered there was something where when they got done filming, they had to put the land back like exactly the way it was, as though they were never there. Wow. So I don't know.
So wow. Okay, so I've listened to every one of your podcasts. I don't know verbatim everything you've said, but my favorite was your 20 questions.
Oh,
that was cool, man. And even after hearing you answer those 20 questions, I still have 100 questions to ask you. But you mentioned that you wanted to interview Rutger Hauer when he was still alive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that didn't happen. He's no longer with us. But if you could ask him one question, what would it be?
Would you like to be upgraded? There's this movie that he was in that I've always just been obsessed about. I love it so much. And I'm sure a lot of people would think it sucks. And it's another take on, I think Yojimbo, Akira Kurosawa, or is it Akira Kurosawa? No. Anyway, Kurosawa's Man with No Name, the samurai flicks, and Magnificent Seven and all that. There's been a million movies based on his stuff, and I think it's based on Yojimbo, but it's a PA movie where Rutger Hauer plays. There was a war between the robots and mankind, and Rutger Hauer's character was quote unquote hit in the program. and it kind of tweaked his programming and stuff, and anyway he was taken in by these scientists and sent back out into the world to, I think, find other humans or something like that. And he comes across this old amusement park. It was obviously filmed like in Croatia or Serbia or something like that, and there's these, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 factions of robots, and he's kind of playing them all against each other. And I would really want to know what his experience was filming that movie. It's so good. If you can ever track it down, God, it's probably on YouTube. But if you can ever track that down, you got to watch it. The special effects are terrible, but I'm not a big. I don't care if special effects are bad. I don't sit there and go, "Oh, that looks fake. That looks dumb. That's horrible."
Bad acting is kind of ruins it for me if it's really bad acting.
Right.
But special effects, I can look past that.
Yeah.
What's the name of the movie? Did you tell me the name of the movie?
Yeah, it's called Omega Doom. Yeah. I've actually got it on DVD. It came with a I had it on VHS, but I found the DVD of it, and it was coupled with Blind Fury, which is the blind swordsman, which is so good too. But
which historical figure or character from a book do you feel some kind of connection to?
I guess as much as I would like to feel connected to some real badass, like, Mad Max or Eli.
Mister.
Yeah. Probably the man from the road. Just a guy, just a normal guy, who is just trying to survive, and it's, and trying to keep his kid alive, trying to keep himself alive. And, that book is so good.
Yeah.
And the movie I thought was just, the movie really spoiled me because I felt like it was such a true interpretation of the book. I mean, more so than I think anything I've ever seen. And so the way, when I watched the movie, I felt like I was reading the book.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a bunch of stuff added. There was quite a bit deleted, but you had to. I mean, it's a 2-hour movie. You can, and but yeah, probably that dude.
That's cool.
Keeping the fire.
Such a good movie, man. And you're right, the book is great. That's one of the books that I've actually read, and I gave it away. I gave the book away, thinking I would never read it again, and now I'm going, man, I might have to buy that book again.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that so many times. Give books away. You always got to figure, if you give a book away, you'll never get it back.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's okay. Although there is one book that I lent to a buddy of mine that if I got to track him down and get it back.
Is it a hard one to find?
It is. It's very hard, and I found it on accident. It's remember the Thundar the Barbarian cartoon?
Yes.
That was based on a book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the cartoon is spelled Thundarr,
Mm-hmm.
and the book, I think, just leaves off one of the R's, and it's called Thundar, the Man Out of Time. And the cover, I mean, he's got a sword, and it was one of the very first blog posts I wrote, and I wrote up this thing because I found the book just on accident. I never knew it existed. I was like, wait a minute. The cartoon is totally based on this book. And I scoured the internet trying to find something that said that the cartoon was based on the book. And I couldn't find anything. And so I was like, well, here I am. I'm going to credit the cartoon being based on this book. And I lent it to a buddy of mine. I still haven't gotten it back. I got to get that back.
So, hey, buddy, if you're listening, Evan wants his book back.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one question I ask everybody, because I feel like it's such a strong motivator. Now that you told me your theory about hope being the strongest motivator, I might have to change this question. But what's your worst fear? And does that have any influence on your creative interests?
Well, my worst fear would be losing my family. And my wife actually has an immune disorder, and she was diagnosed 7 years ago now. And we know that that's how we are going to lose her, barring a traffic accident or or something. It will eventually kill her, and we know that that's what's going to happen. Not that we've come to grips with it, but because when that eventually does happen, I can't even imagine how hard it's going to be. But coupled with that, the thought of losing my children is, I couldn't do it. I mean, I would never recover from that. and it would literally be the end of the world for me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Oh, worst fear ever, man. Can't even imagine.
Easily. And I could tell. I mean, I kind of got the idea that that's what you were going to say based on what we've already talked about. But that fear is a motivator. It's a strong motivator. Does that influence anything in your life going forward? Can you,
I guess,
have you ever tried to channel that into a creative outlet somehow?
no.
I mean, spending time with your wife.
Oh yeah, just
games.
trying to be the best husband I can, and all that. But as far as anything to do with this stuff I do, I can't think. I can't think that it does.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible answer, but
hey, it's honest, man. Not every answer has to be like profound and insightful and mind blowing, but yeah, that's an honest answer. So yeah, man. Shoot, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, thank you.
I hope she's with you for a long time to come, man.
Yeah,
because when you find your soulmate, that's part of you. That's like, I can't even imagine it. What is the biggest obstacle you run into as a blogger and a podcaster?
It's probably two. One is finding the time to do what I want to do, and the other one is probably technology.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out how to do what I want to do. I was really into computers when I was a kid. I was just obsessed with them. And then I got out of that, and I didn't get back into it until about 2000, and the stuff, I missed so much. I mean, I think the last kind of educational certificate I got from anything to have to do with computing was for DOS 3.0. So
what is that?
Everything. Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what that is, man.
And so, just of course, they've made computers so much easier to use now, and thank goodness for YouTube, where you can just figure out how to do anything you want to do. But
so time and technology are your two biggest obstacles.
Finding the time.
Everyone at some level has a story to tell, and some are better at telling stories than others. In your mind, what does it take to be a good storyteller?
I think a good storyteller has to get me to feel something about their characters, whether I empathize or sympathize, love them, hate them. If I don't care about the characters, then why do I care about, reading or watching whatever it is? I also need characters to act and sound like real people. The things they do and the way they speak needs to convince me that they're real. And just thinking, one of my favorite indie authors out there, excuse me, right now is John F. Leonard. I don't know if you're following him or not.
I interviewed him for my blog.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a master at doing that, and I've read everything he's written, and God, I hope he keeps writing for a long time. But and even though he uses a lot of British slang, and I don't know. I mean, I love British television, but there's still stuff. There's a lot of slang I don't know. But his characters and the way they interact and the way they talk to each other and the things that they do, they're absolutely real people. And yeah, I think for me, that's, you got to make me care about the people in the book.
Cool.
Whether doesn't matter if make me love them or hate them, but don't make me just not care anything about them.
Well, coming from a person that reads as much as you do, I would have to say that that's good advice to any writer.
Yeah.
If you're writing stories, make sure they got strong characters.
Yeah.
When you decide to get into your creative mode, and you have to make that transition from coming home and doing the daily grind and putting something out there for people to consume somehow. How do you make that transition? Do you wait until an inspiration hits you like a bolt of lightning?
That would be it. And I've always, when I started doing the blogging thing and with the podcasting thing, I knew that I was not going to have a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
There was going to be zero schedule involved with what I do. And I would write a little blog post, or I would do a podcast episode when I wanted to, and when I had to. But there are, like I said, I got pages of notes and just so many people I want to talk to desperately. It's just finding the time, finding the right time, and scheduling, and getting over my fear of my biggest fear is interviewing someone, talking to someone, and them not being happy with it, or them being embarrassed, or them being wishing that they had never talked to me and having it released. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, lay that fear to rest, dude, because I think it would be an honor and a privilege for anybody you invite to come on your podcast.
Oh, that makes me feel better.
It's true. I'm not trying to blow smoke, man. I think
Yeah,
you're a good interviewer. Yeah, you come up with really interesting questions to pose to people. It's hard to interview 10 different people that do the same thing and come up with different questions for each of those people.
right. Yeah,
That's a tough thing to do. It takes a lot of concentration and focus. I mean, that in itself is a creative process.
I always have this argument where people refer to me as a creator. I'm like, no, I'm not. No. I'm a curator. I collect things and then I share them out and hope somebody goes, oh, that sounds cool. I'm going to check that out.
Cool.
But
you collect answers to questions.
Yeah, there we go.
I like that, man. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And when I talk to somebody, I've learned so much doing this, even though I haven't done very much of it, but I've heard interviews of, writers and filmmakers and stuff, and they're just those, they're just cookie cutter answers or cookie cutter questions. And, you can kind of tell that the interviewer doesn't care about who they're interviewing. They've never read any of their stuff. They've never watched any of their stuff. And I always want to make sure, because I will not interview someone whose work I haven't read or watched or become familiar with. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all to the creator, to the person I'm talking to,
or the listeners.
Right?
It's like you said, it would be just another cookie cutter, boring interview, and why would somebody want to listen to that? Yeah, right. No, you're bringing a level of integrity to your work that most people don't have. Not most people. I'm sorry, I don't mean most people, but a lot of interviewers don't have the integrity to at least go read a book or watch a movie or listen to an album by somebody that they're interviewing.
Right.
Which part of the creative process do you enjoy the most?
I think I enjoy the thought.
I could rephrase that if you want. Which part of the curating process?
There we go.
Do you enjoy?
There we go. Yes. Yeah. what I enjoy the most is finding something, putting it out there, and from the very beginning, I've always thought, I read this book, I love it. I'm going to tell everyone that I love it, and if I can get one person to check it out, and even if they don't get back to me and say that they love it too, but if one person reads it or watches it and loves it, then I have absolutely fulfilled what I wanted to do. That's what I enjoy the most.
So what is your dream job?
Curating the Mad Max museum.
Nice.
Yeah.
That-
Oh yeah, totally. That would be my dream job.
Yeah, that would be cool. Is there anything that you are working on now or have plans for the future that you're going to be putting out there? Do you have any like podcast episodes that you're just dying to get to?
Oh man, a lot of them.
Any
Yeah.
that you could tell us about?
I don't want to give out any names, because if God forbid it doesn't happen or something like that, but I've got a number of filmmakers and writers that that I would really like to. Yeah. Well, let me finish that. That I would like to have on my podcast, and that and that I've spoken to and said, hey, do you think at some point in the future you might want to, and they're totally with it. And so, yeah, I really have. There was one project that both my wife and I were involved in. That I don't know how much I can say about it without getting in trouble. It's a film
Cool.
that my wife and I were involved with. It's a little short film, and I believe it's still in the process of like going. It was going to go through the indie film circuit. What do you call them? Just, the different film festivals that they have. And then this COVID thing happened, and that all got kind of shut down. But once that comes out, I will be sharing it like crazy. It was pretty cool. It was super fun. It was super cool.
Were you guys cast? Part of the cast?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, far out. So we get to see you guys on screen?
You won't see us. We are just voice actors in it. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right. We'll look forward to that. I will look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Once it gets out there.
If you, when it comes out, yeah. So it's got to make the circuit. There's a dude that I interviewed for my blog, also a movie creator, David Lieben. He made a movie. Yeah. His movie got pretty much put on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because of this. And luckily he's got a career. He's a teacher or a professor. I'm not sure which, but I think he teaches college level or it might be high school level film. But yeah, his movie got put on the shelf until after this COVID thing.
Yeah, I had chatted with him a little bit, and how he filmed that movie was super cool. Was super cool.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude, man. He knows his craft for sure.
Yeah.
I hope to see more movies from him down the road.
Yeah, for sure.
Storytelling in the future. This is where I try to tie in my podcast theme with the creative people that I interview, or the curative people. I don't mind saying that, man. I think curating is just as important as creating. But I'm convinced that studying history is essential to understanding the future. One of the primary focuses of my podcast, Dead Hand Radio, is to explore the Cold War and its impact on culture, technology, and the future. I try to do this in a way that's entertaining and educational without being too controversial, but that's sometimes a fine line. So with that in mind, a lot of creative people try to take on the biggest problems head on. What approach do you think is the most effective?
Well, if I'm hearing the question correctly, I think uh, I think they would do well to not put blinders on and only present one side of an issue.
Good point,
And
man.
I know that that's kind of it seems like that's what's done, or it seems like presenting one side of an issue is how things are done.
Mhm.
And I really don't like that. Um, I think maybe stepping out of their bubble and looking at both sides. Um, like they say, there's three sides to every story. Mine, yours, and the truth.
Mhm.
And so, you can present all sides with facts, and then leave it up to the viewer
Mhm.
to make their own informed decision as to which side is the truth or right. um I think there's try to get away from bias as much as possible.
Is there let's keep it positive. Is there a movie or a book that comes to mind that has addressed issues in this manner in a way that you're suggesting it should be done?
I feel like most of what I see as far as the mainstream is so biased. There's probably some indie stuff out there that's probably done it, but it feels like everything that I see is biased towards one thing or another.
The one example that easily comes to mind for me uh, is Star Trek. I think Star Trek it addressed those issues, a lot of big issues for its time, but it did it in a way that you didn't even realize that's what you were watching.
Are you talking about the original Star
The,
Trek?
yeah, the original Star Trek.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, they were they were dealing with issues that are still around today.
Yeah. Did you do interviews for your blog too before you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did. And in fact, that was the whole point of starting a podcast was, I would interview people on my blog, but you can only get so much from written text. And I kept thinking this would, if you could actually talk to somebody, where you can really kind of get the feel for someone way more when you listen to them talk than rather, typing their words down on a screen. And plus podcasting just seemed easier. You hook up with somebody on the Skype or whatever and you record it and you're good.
Yeah, looks are deceiving though, right?
Yeah, big time.
Because it's not easy. It's fun though. It is fun.
It is.
I enjoy it. I have a good time with it.
And the thought of actually, talking with someone instead of just sending them a list of questions, having them answer them, cutting and pasting them onto a blog and putting a couple pictures up. I don't know, just the thought of actually talking to them just seems a lot cooler.
Yeah, I agree. I started interviewing people on my blog I 10 years ago, probably.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even longer than that. I interviewed. Actually, it was longer than that. I remember my first interview was with a couple of clients of mine, and I started interviewing them about the 2008 crash and
Mhm.
the economic bust. So yeah, it was a totally different format, but I've been doing interviews, ever since. And then your podcast was one of the inspirations that I had to start doing interviews as part of the podcast.
Oh, cool.
So, of the people that you've interviewed, does it ever surprise you that how insightful and imaginative people are?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I don't have a real great imagination. And people always say, oh, bull crap. Yes, you do. No, I don't. I actually don't. I never have. And so I rely on the imagination of others to kind of fill that, and I think that's one of the reasons I like reading so much is, I can't come up with this stuff on my own, and I always say, the man's got to know his limitations. I'm totally cool with not being a writer. I don't want to be a writer. Really want nothing to do with that. And I concentrate on indie stuff, on indie authors and indie filmmakers. And I can't believe the stuff these people come up with. It blows me away.
Well, those people are doing it for the passion, because they're not getting rich. A lot of them have regular jobs and they do the writing part on the side. But they do it and they're good at it for some reason. They just haven't built the massive audiences that allow them to, you know, sit at home and write all day long.
Yeah. I mean, you got, people like, I know I keep name dropping here, but, like Arthur
Yeah.
Walker, I don't know if you've read his Ouroboros
Yeah.
saga.
Yeah. Of course. Because of you.
Oh,
Yeah. Totally because of you.
Yes, it works.
It
It
does.
worked.
Okay. There you go, man. I forgot to tell you that, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, I did
Mission accomplished.
read Arthur's work because of you.
Yeah. It's just, I sit there and oh my God, I just can't believe the stuff that he comes up with.
Yeah.
I just, he's got that thing,
And he's artistic
got,
too. He's a good,
oh yeah.
good artist.
Yeah. He's like the Buckaroo Banzai of indie guys.
Yeah.
I was thrilled when he I can't remember which I've got his print books here, and I can't remember if it was the last book or the second to last book that takes place right up here, right up at Glacier Park. I'm only 20 minutes away from Glacier Park. That was really cool to read a book that takes place so close to where I am.
That is cool when you see. Well, I live in Vegas, so a lot of movies, a lot of books focus on this area. But being up where you're at, I guess there wouldn't be a lot of fiction.
Here's a little tidbit: Damnation Alley. That took place, down there in Vegas. And the end scene after the Earth gets tilted back on its axis.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end, there's like this big flood because the Earth got tilted. It got knocked off its axis because of all the nukes.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the movie, for whatever reason, the Earth gets back on its, where it belongs. And there's this big giant flood. And the landmaster,
Right.
Before that, everything was desert and all that. Well, now everything's grass, trees, lakes, so on. Everything's totally back to normal. Horses and fences and all that. And the scene, the area where those scenes took place is literally like across the highway from me.
Wow.
Because George Papard, I don't know if he had a place here. A lot of actors have homes up here, but I don't know if he had a place here, but he just really liked it here. And apparently, from what I understand, from what I've read, he convinced them to film those ending scenes right here. And so
that must be beautiful country up there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've driven through Montana. I've only been there once. Most of what I saw was long, straight flatlands.
That's all eastern Montana.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Without getting political, of the many issues that our society's faced with, what is the greatest threat to human life on Earth?
Ignorance. Ignorance of history.
I agree.
One of my favorite quotes is, remember Excalibur, the movie
Yeah,
Excalibur?
yeah, love that movie.
At one point, Merlin says, "Doomed are men that
Mhm.
they forget."
That's
And
true, man.
I think that's totally true.
Yeah.
And without trying to get political and all media sandboxy,
hmm
um, I think just a lot of history is changed or misspoken or just flat out denied or deleted. Um, I always think of Orwell's quote when he says, "Who controls the past controls the future, and who controls the present controls the past."
Definitely.
Um, we get our history and sound bites and clickbaits and opinions.
That's
Yep.
just kind of mind blowing. So yeah, you're right, man. The ignorance of not remembering the mistakes of our past are definitely going to allow us to repeat them.
Yeah. And a lot of people um, mistake ignorance with stupidity. And
Yeah.
they're not the same thing. I was just talking to a buddy at work about this today. People tend to be, people who are ignorant, they know what the deal is, they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you have someone stupid, and there are stupid people, I'm not going to candy coat it and say, well, no, no, there
hmm
are dumb people.
Yeah.
They just don't know. But the ignorant people don't care,
Yeah.
and they know, they just don't care.
But do you think that the ignorance of humans could eventually lead to the end of the world as we know it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's the only thing that would lead to it.
Wow.
Well, barring, natural catastrophe and stuff like that. But, if you're talking nukes, if you're talking bio, if you're talking, any of that kind of stuff, yeah, ignorance.
If you could create a character to deal with the issue of ignorance, what would that character look like?
Oh gosh, I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could have one person, if you're if you're a Christian, if you're, it would be Jesus Christ. If you were Buddhist, it would be Buddha. But let's just. I don't think you could have one person that can change the world,
Mhm.
or that could wipe out the ignorance of those who don't give a shit. Because if someone doesn't care, if they're just going to flat out not care, how do you make them care? I don't know. I don't know how you would create a character. I don't know what kind of. I don't know. That's a tough question, man.
So the person would have to be able to brainwash people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
He'd have to be able to manipulate people
Yeah,
to get them to do the right thing, to do things the right
right.
way.
Yeah, you would have to somehow um, affect. You would have to do something that would affect those people on a personal level that would make them recoil and sit back and go,
Mm.
"Oh crap, I was totally wrong. I need to change, and I need to, change my way of thinking." And man, to do that to everybody,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, but then you're taking away their free choice, and the whole point would be to have people have the free choice to do the right thing. And so if you're
hmm
forcing them to do the right thing, if you have to, if you're going to brainwash them, what if that brainwashing doesn't stick? You're going to have a certain percentage of the population who it doesn't work, or that it doesn't work on, and then you just got a population of drones,
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's not good for anybody.
yeah,
Free choice is what it is to be a human.
right.
So if you take away free choice,
If everyone would just choose not to be an asshole, that's how easy it is. There, boom, done.
Yeah.
You could have a guy up there standing up there going, look, it's 4 words. Don't be an asshole. It's as simple as that.
So there you go. It's not one person. It's every person.
Right.
Every person has to make the choice to do the right thing.
Yeah. People always talk about, wanting a utopia. Well, a utopia is impossible. There's literally no possibility of ever having a utopia because of free choice, because there are going to be a percentage of the population. Look, there's bad people. They're just flat out bad, bad, evil people. But there's people who don't believe that. And why they're bad, I don't know. They didn't get hugs when they were kids. I don't know. I don't know why they're bad. They could have been look at some of the worst people in the world. They grew up in wonderful families.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, a chemical imbalance, whatever, I don't know.
But even if you look at the worst people, I mean, do they even acknowledge that they're bad? They don't even think they're bad. They think they're doing it for good reasons.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of them do. I mean, there are probably some sociopaths that know they're doing the wrong thing and they're doing it because they can do it.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah.
But yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of them that they don't know. And they're not
psychopaths, sociopaths.
Yeah. They're not stupid. There's something wrong in their brain. So anyway.
Yeah, that's that's the last question I ask everybody that I interview, and I get different answers from a lot of people. Yeah, it's interesting. But I think you hit on something right there that everybody needs to. It's not something that one person can fix. It's something that everybody together collectively can fix if they choose to.
Yeah.
Good answer. Okay, before I let you go, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
I did want to tell you that I really dig what you're doing.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that.
I really like your podcast.
Thanks.
I really dig all your photography stuff, and I'm really super, super glad that we've connected on the internet, on Twitter.
Well, the feeling's definitely mutual. I absolutely feel the same about your podcast because it's a good podcast. Okay, with that said, so give us your information, how people can get in contact with you.
Well, obviously I spend most of my time on Twitter, and so you can find me at FromTheWastes or at The Last Librarian on Twitter. I'm also I have a blog on WordPress. That one is FromTheWastes 11811 .wordpress.com, and I also have a Facebook page. I don't do a lot with my Facebook page. When I do, it's usually sharing, like if I'm searching out some indie PA movies, ones that I come across, I'll throw up on there. But that's just what is that? Facebook /FromTheWastes. Pretty much any, I have a Tumblr. I've had a Tumblr for a long time.
Yeah, I found that. And you post a lot of science fiction stuff on there, right?
Yeah, that one's a lot more science fiction. I also have a Last Librarian blog on WordPress. I have the two blogs, but my Last Librarian blog, what I did was I took pictures. I scanned the front and back cover of a lot of the books that I have, And most of my books, 99% of them are all science fiction, predominantly PA and dystopian, ranging from a lot of 60s, 70s, 80s. And I would just scan the front and back covers, and then I just put those images on that blog. So there's kind of the only unfortunate thing was I didn't put like tags or anything for each book, because my what I wanted to do was, like, if you wanted to look up nuclear war, then all my nuclear war stuff would come up. But it was hard enough getting all those things scanned in and put in there. But if you ever just want to kind of veg out and scroll through, I think I've got about 300 and some books on there.
That's lastlibrarian.wordpress.com?
Correct. Yep.
And what's your podcast? Where's your podcast at?
Oh, my podcast. I'm on Podbean, but you can find you can find From the Wastes podcast on Apple Podcasts, pretty much all the podcatchers out there.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Evan.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure too. And hopefully we could do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Dead Hand Radio is a podcast about the Cold War and its effects on our culture, technology, and the future. So join me, and together we'll explore this fascinating period of history and examine the incredible advancements in weapons, technology, science, and culture, and discuss how all of it relates to the future of our world. My goal is to explore these topics with the audience, to learn, to educate, to entertain, and exchange ideas with those interested. If you or someone you know has knowledge about the Cold War or any of the topics that we discuss on this program, please get in touch and let's talk. It could be a great conversation for a future episode, and I'm especially interested to talk with anyone who has firsthand knowledge about the Cold War. Likewise, if you have any questions or comments to help improve the show, drop me an email, hit me on Twitter, or leave me a voicemail that may be included in an upcoming episode. And one last thing before I sign off. Dead Hand Radio has partnered with a powerful group of podcasters to form a new podcasting network called SIP Network, or Slightly Irregular Podcast Network. SIP Network is a group of high-energy, positive-minded individuals providing a resource where listeners can get easy access to a wealth of entertainment, education, and positive input for your daily routine. The podcasts you'll find in the SIP Network include Angry Dad Podcast is about fitness and motivation. Back in Time Podcast is about movies and entertainment. Dead Hand Radio is about Cold War history, technology, and the future. Fave 5 from Fans is a favorite 5 lists of just about everything. From the Wastes is about post-apocalyptic and dystopian fiction with a dash of sci-fi. Paranormal Pativity is all things paranormal and unexplained. The Terrible Terror Podcast is about horror movie reviews and walkthroughs. And the Podcast from Another World is about horror and sci-fi film discussions. Check out sipnet.us for more info and listen to all these great shows. Thanks for listening to Dead Hand Radio. This is Andrew Hall signing off.